and welcome to our TechFest Digital Festival 2020. This year, rather than cancel the festival due to current events, we are aiming to be one of the biggest and most ambitious digital science festivals in Scotland. The online format means it will be a different festival this year, but that has opened up new possibilities for our audiences, and going online means we're not restricted by geographic reach, so we can engage with people right across Scotland and beyond. I have to say the event we had last week hit America and Argentina and Canada, so we were well chuffed with ourselves. As ever, our thanks go to our joint principal sponsors, BP Shell, and also Equinor, Ithaca Energy, SBRC, and the Data Lab, who are kindly sponsoring the Digital Public Programme, and Rose Energy, who are supporting our activity weekend, which is happening next week, well, this coming week. Anyway, I'm delighted to have this session with Debbie and find out a bit more about STEM ambassadors, and I hope you really enjoy it. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you very much, Jenny. Okay, perfect. So I'll get started. So yeah, my name's Debbie. I am the STEM Ambassador Coordinator for the North of Scotland, and I work at Aberdeen Science Centre, which hopefully you've maybe seen that it's been in the news recently, or you've seen stuff on social media, but we've just opened up our brand newly renovated building and it looks amazing. So as a side note to this, please do check out the Science Centre. So this is the plan for today. So what I'm going to talk about is, I'll talk about the STEM ambassadors. I'll talk about what the STEM ambassadors look like in Scotland and the Scottish hubs. I'll talk about how you can be involved. Because we've got two teachers on the call, this session was open to anyone. I'll maybe skip over some slides at that point, but I'll talk you through everything. I'll show you how the website works as well, and then I'll go into the next steps and we'll have a bit of time for questions. So this is the plan for today. So what I'm going to talk about is, I'll talk about the STEM ambassadors. I'll talk about what the STEM ambassadors look like in Scotland and the Scottish hubs. I'll talk about how you can be involved. Because we've got two teachers on the call, this session was open to anyone. I'll maybe skip over some slides at that point, but I'll talk you through everything. I'll show you how the website works as well, and then I'll go into the next steps and we'll have a bit of time for questions. So what are STEM ambassadors? So STEM ambassadors are volunteers that want to inspire young people, engage in some way, give back to their community. A lot of STEM ambassadors maybe want to fill a gap that they wish they'd had growing up, or maybe they want to just try and bridge between school and employment. So that's kind of what STEM ambassadors drive. There's no requirement or test for someone to become a STEM ambassador. It is literally, if you have a passion for STEM, if you have a background in STEM, you can be a STEM ambassador. So that could be someone that is 17 is the youngest STEM ambassadors can be. So they could be a 17-year-old going into an apprenticeship really early on in their career. They might not have the most STEM subject knowledge that maybe someone with a PhD might have, but they will have the experience of an apprenticeship in that field and how they got there and things like that. So quite a nice way of sort of matching up with where other young people might be and trying to give them some guidance on what it's like in STEM fields. So really, really broad range. You can also go up to people that are retired. Really anyone can be a STEM ambassador. The main thing we're looking for from them is that passion and that enthusiasm. And the STEM Ambassador Program is a nationwide program. It's been running for about 18 years. So it's been known a while that we will need to be encouraging more young people into STEM. So it's a well-established program. It's coordinated by STEM Learning, who are based in York. And what they've done is they've split the UK into different hubs. So you can see there in the map, there's lots of different regions. The North Scotland hub is the region that I coordinate. So, and Aberdeen Science Centre coordinates. So as you can see from the map, it's quite a large area at the top there. It does include Shetland, but unfortunately Shetland gets cut off the map. I've raised this with STEM Learning, but it's never going to make it onto the map, unfortunately, but it is included in the programme. So yeah, as you can see from that, it is a large geographical area. We also get to claim the smallest population title as well of all the UK STEM ambassador hubs. And so there's a lot of challenges with that. Remote and rural schools, having the same opportunities as schools that are in cities and that have STEM ambassadors on their doorstep is really difficult. And actually, I would say people engaging with technology more during the pandemic has really increased our reach and has helped limit that a little bit. So I'm gonna momentarily be optimistic about our engagement with digital technology because of the pandemic. So as you can see, I've put down the numbers there of how many STEM ambassadors there are. In the north of Scotland, we've got 1,299 STEM ambassadors. There's lots of volunteers. They're spread out all over the place. I would say probably about 600, 700 of those are based around Aberdeen City. And that does sound like a lot, but it's also, these people aren't able to volunteer every day all the time. A lot of these people will be able to volunteer one afternoon a year. So it's evening that out, the actual amount of time that STEM ambassadors have to volunteer isn't as much as maybe that amount makes it look. There are other STEM ambassadors that can volunteer every week and do days of volunteering. So it really does vary. It's dependent on people's jobs and workloads and things like that. So really, really varied. But yeah, we have a very healthy STEM ambassador population in the north of Scotland and across the whole of Scotland, actually. So why do we need the STEM ambassador program? So I think we can probably agree that the STEM subjects are extremely important and that the jobs, the increase in jobs are in STEM sectors. These are the booming industries. And this is where we need to be preparing young people for these different jobs that are available to them. I guess the tough thing is that sometimes we don't really know what those jobs are going to look like, but we know that they will have a strong STEM background. Pretty much every job. It's very difficult to take the STEM out of any job. So we need to be preparing young people for that. I also think there's that maths is a really good example for when we're talking about what that actually means and how we can be preparing people for it. Because maths can be a love-hate relationship with maths. I think there's a lot of people that will really love maths, and there's a lot of people that will really hate maths. And a lot of people that love maths, they get it, it makes sense, they're happy to study it for 10 years. People that don't get maths, and then they can't see why it's relevant to their future jobs because they don't want to go into a STEM sector. They don't think they're going to need maths. But actually what we need to be doing, what STEM ambassadors will be doing, is trying to make them realize and inspire them to see that actually maths is everywhere and is included in everything. So trying to combat that kind of love-hate relationship a bit more and trying to make it that it's not, that you're not a maths person or a non-maths person, that just everybody is a little bit a maths person. So more of a sliding scale rather than black and white. And that's what I always think of maths as quite a good example of how we need to kind of break down those maybe barriers that people have to STEM subjects. So that's a little bit about the STEM Ambassador, why it exists. And I also just wanted to mention the 3 Scottish hubs. So there are the 3, so I've already kind of pointed out the North Scotland bit on that map. So covering Aberdeen City, Aberdeenshire, Moray, the Highlands, Western Isles, Orkney and Shetland. So we cover that whole area. We have a staff member based up in Thurso, who I work with. We also have a colleague based in Inverness as part of the Science Centre, and another one based in Gairloch as well. So we have staff members spread out across the north of Scotland, helping us make sure that we can engage with people across the whole area. There's also a STEM Ambassador hub in the east of Scotland, and they're run at Cirque, which is, I'm sure, a name that you know. And in the west of Scotland as well, there is a STEM Ambassador hub there. So basically, just in case you ever move around Scotland, there is always somebody to help you with STEM ambassadors. And one of the benefits that we've really found of being able to work digitally is that we can run things Scotland wide now. So a session like this can be open to the whole of Scotland, whole of the UK, and like Jenny said, the whole of the world. We can have people from Argentina here if we wanted. So this bit, because there's no potential STEM ambassador volunteers, I'm going to kind of glide over this fairly quickly, but I'll still let you know what it involves to become a STEM ambassador. So the first thing that STEM ambassadors do is create a profile on the website, which is stem.org.uk. And then they have to complete an online induction. And once they've done that, we complete a PVG application for them. So before they even have a chance to speak to a teacher, to volunteer for any activity, they've had to go through those 3 steps. By that point as well, I've probably met them digitally in some way, had a good chat with them and found out a little bit more about them. We ask as well, so the only requirement that we have for them is that they have they only have to do 1 activity in a 12-month period. So like I said before, some people can only volunteer for half a day, once a year. Others will volunteer much more, but all we ask of them is 1 activity in a 12-month period. So we track that and make sure that our STEM ambassadors are active. We renew PVGs every 3 years to make sure that the information that we have is up to date. So all that stuff's covered. So hopefully that gives you a bit of peace of mind about the volunteers that you could be asking for as a teacher. And I also wanted to just at this point as well say that the benefits for STEM ambassadors. So as I've mentioned, a lot of people do it to give back to their community, maybe give back to their previous school, those kind of things. As well, it's a fantastic networking opportunity for STEM ambassadors. They meet other volunteers, other people from different backgrounds, teachers, really great to build a network. Also develop those skills. Some STEM ambassadors will be really confident with working with young people. Others won't have any experience, but still want to be out there inspiring people. So it can be, STEM ambassadors will be gaining lots of different skills by engaging with you. So that's kind of volunteers. I'm going to go into this later on. I've got this slide again later on, so I will talk through that later on, but there's lots of different types of activities STEM ambassadors can volunteer for. And there's lots of different ways STEM ambassadors could volunteer. So starting off with the first one there is through myself. So any activities that I get, say it's requests from teachers, they come through the website, through the hub, and STEM ambassadors can volunteer for those. But the STEM Ambassador Program is also a sort of an umbrella program. So they can volunteer for anything else within that. So they might volunteer through the professional institution, or their employer might organize activities, or they may well organize activities themselves through the personal contacts. So it's a really wide-ranging program. And yeah, there's lots of different ways that STEM ambassadors can be involved. But when it comes to speaking specifically to teachers, I'm going to focus on that first one, the STEM Ambassador Hub one, but I'll go into that a little bit later on. I was also going to talk about employers, but this probably isn't as relevant now. But we have employers that want their employees to become STEM ambassadors. As I said, people can volunteer through their employer. So this is a lot of what my job is, going into different employers, different businesses, and training up their staff to become STEM ambassadors. So yeah, we'll have different groups from different organizations, which is really good. And again, one of the benefits I've seen of doing that digitally is where previously getting 10 people in a room would be quite difficult. I can get 30, 40 people from one employer on a Zoom call. So really seeing the benefit of that. But employers can be involved in lots of different ways. They may have a program that they're already running, and they're already partnered with schools. They may have never done any kind of STEM engagement before, so they may need a lot of support and want to be partnered up with schools and teachers. So it's really varied, and it just depends on whatever discussion is being had with those employers. So this is a bit that's going to be a bit more relevant to Leanne and Murray. So how to get involved as a teacher? I think there was kind of, from the poll, it was sort of, maybe a little bit about the STEM Ambassador Program. But if you're not already registered on the website, please do create a profile. It's stem.org.uk, and there's an option to create a teacher profile. From there, you receive different newsletters and things like that have loads of fantastic resources in. The resources on the STEM Learning website are fantastic, really, really good, loads of stuff going on there. So you get access to all of that. And then you also get access to STEM ambassadors. So one of the things that you can do once you've got your teacher profile is to request a STEM ambassador. So I've got just on the screen there, I've got what that looks like. So it says create an activity. So it has a form and it asks you a number of different questions. How do you, what kind of activity do you want? What's the name of the activity? What are you looking for? And at this point, I would really recommend putting in a fair bit of detail, letting the STEM ambassadors know what you're looking for. I am going to go into some detail about what that could look like in a moment. But yeah, it's basically a nice simple form that you can fill in. We also have another new function on our website, which is offers. So STEM ambassadors can put an offer on the website and you can browse it. So rather than you having to come up with the idea yourself, you can have a look at what STEM ambassadors are out there and what they are offering, and you can contact them. And there's a communication like messaging system on the website that you can send initial messages to STEM ambassadors. So it's all included in the website. It's all tracked on your profile. So when you log in, say you request a STEM ambassador next week, a year's time, you want to find out who that STEM ambassador was again and see if they will come along again. All that information is on your profile. So you'll be able to find that STEM ambassador again, at least find their name. If you're not able to contact them, that's where you would come to me as your STEM ambassador hub. But yeah, it's all contained within your profile on the website, which is quite handy. And as I've said there at the top, I've said teachers, schools, and community groups. The STEM Ambassador Program is not just for formal education. It's anywhere where there's young people, STEM ambassadors can be. So we encourage, brownie groups and scout groups and things like that to request STEM ambassadors as well. So it can be anywhere there's young people, STEM ambassadors can be inspiring them. So I'll talk you through now some of the activities that you could potentially request as a teacher. So, and then I've got some examples as well of things that have happened recently and things that have happened before this year in face-to-face capacities to give you a bit of an idea of what's out there. But one of the things you can do is request a classroom visit. So that could be they could maybe do a presentation, they could run an activity, they could maybe support you in running an activity. The idea being that your class would then get a chance to meet someone, a STEM professional, someone that's got a bit of a STEM background, and increase the number of people that that your pupils or students know that are involved in STEM in some way. That can be done online as well. So, if you can set up a Teams call and have them on a big screen and they can have a chat to your class that way as well. Q&A sessions as well are a good option. There's lots of different things that you can do. STEM clubs. I don't know if either of you do you know if you have STEM clubs at your schools?
I don't, but I'm looking to set up one because I qualified as a tutor for young STEM leaders.
Ah, okay, fantastic. Right.
So I need to set up a STEM club to get some of my children up and running on the program.
Okay, perfect. Well, there you go. You might want to get some STEM ambassadors involved in that. Again, it's just bringing in, I think especially for the Young STEM Leader Program stuff, there's elements where it talks about, I don't know about all the different levels, but I know there's some points where it talks about maybe stereotyping within STEM and things like that.
Yeah.
That's an ideal point to bring in some STEM ambassadors, maybe virtually for now, but bring in some STEM ambassadors and actually say, like, you know, these are the kind of people that are involved in STEM, you know, trying to break down those stereotypes and things like that. So there's a lot of links with the Young STEM Leader Program to support that as well. But yeah, I think STEM clubs as well, there's lots of different ways that you can set up STEM clubs. Again, the STEM Learning website has loads of great STEM club resources to help you get started on that front. And STEM ambassadors can, it may be that they bring some activities that they'd want to run. It could be that they are that extra pair of hands and they're really just helping you run the club. There's different projects that you can be involved in with STEM clubs. So through Young Engineers and Science Clubs, that's a really good route into clubs. And things like a Green Power Goblin Car, I don't know if that's one you've heard of. Yeah, so that kind of thing is quite good for clubs. And STEM ambassadors, again, maybe bringing the more practical skills of how to put an electric car together. And then the next thing I've got there is then careers talks as well. Fitting much in with the classroom stuff. I think that's probably a way a lot of things are going at the moment because it is virtual. It's quite difficult to do a practical hands-on activity with a STEM ambassador. So yeah, careers talk is a nice simple option for something virtually. Speed networking. A group of students speaking to a STEM ambassador, and then the buzzer goes and they rotate round. So that's kind of the idea of that. Again, that can still be done virtually, but may be more of a face-to-face option. Online mentoring, a really good option. There's a number of different organizations that support online mentoring, and often STEM ambassadors are involved in those. But it could be more just support with a particular project. So if it's maybe they're working on a particular science project and they've got some questions and they're not sure who to speak to, you can start maybe an email. It could be as simple as having an email conversation with a STEM ambassador, obviously coordinated by the teacher. But yeah, so there's online mentoring as an option as well. Site visits and hosting work experience, again, slightly trickier at the moment, but that's certainly something STEM ambassador employers are really keen to do. And there are digital options for these. So yeah, that comes down to each employer and what they're happy to do. Large science festivals and fairs. So we're part of one just now. There are STEM ambassadors involved in a number of parts of the science festival. The Science Centre in this category as well. We try and do lots of different events at the Science Centre, have lots of different partners involved, and we often have STEM ambassadors supporting those. STEM ambassadors support our STEM clubs, our engineering clubs. So yeah, we have lots of volunteers at the Science Centre as well. And then, as I mentioned, non-school groups are also a category, not so relevant for teaching at school, but you know, if you also happen to run a scout group, you can also activities that you could request as a teacher. Here's some of the activities that we've had going on recently. The ones along the top are kind of more of our digital ones that we've been doing recently. So in the left hand corner there, we've got someone actually in their lab showing us what's going on in their lab. And this was part of a project. Next to it, it says Marvelous Maths. This was part of a maths project for Maths Week Scotland. And as I said at the start, like trying to make break down that love-hate relationship with maths a little bit. So that's what we were trying to do there. And then on the right there, again, this was part of the Marvelous Maths project. It was a STEM ambassador talking about their work with wind turbines. So really, really varied projects. You as a teacher, if you wanted to see what a lab was like, you could put that request on the database, and someone like Amanda there might come back to you and say, yeah, actually, I've got the perfect video that I've already filmed that you can have access to. Or they might film something special for you, or be able to do a live Q&A or something like that. So you can get that type of request on the database. We also have a number of resources that we've created over the last couple of months. So one of them, if you just look sort of in the middle on the left-hand side, says Kirsty Pryor. She's a STEM ambassador in the Highlands, and I've filmed a video interview with her where she talks a bit about her careers, the skills needed. You know, she's a director of a tech company, so she kind of talks a little bit about that. So that's on YouTube, Aberdeen Science Centre YouTube, and you can have a look at that. And I'm going to kind of skip the middle pictures. I'm going to go over to the right in the middle. We also have on the Aberdeen Science Centre website a series of profiles of STEM ambassadors that have, they all answer kind of the same 6 or 7 basic questions, and all the information is there. So a teacher can come along, look at that, and pick up any information that they want. So you can really use those as you want. I have a limited number of profiles on there at the moment, but I am going to be adding more shortly. And then the other pictures are all ones of things that have happened face-to-face, but are a nice example of the kind of things that you could do. So the bottom left is are some goblin cars that were built up in the Highlands with the support of STEM ambassadors. And then the one in kind of the middle there is an event that we did at the Science Centre that some STEM ambassadors supported. And they did loads of cool experiments, and they made magnetic slime and things like that. It was really cool. The Robertson sign in the middle, that was a company, a STEM ambassador company that wanted to do an event at the Science Centre. So they kind of did a bit of a takeover of the day and had loads of different things going on around the Science Centre. Down in the middle at the bottom, that's actually a company taking some kids out of school, and they went and looked at a river, and they went and looked at different fish and things in the river. And then at the bottom right is a careers fair. So STEM ambassadors coming along to a careers fair, talking a little bit about all the different opportunities involved in STEM. And we actually had a number of different people from different companies at one stall. So it was really, really cool. So there's loads of things that you could have a STEM ambassador involved in. Digital and in the future, face-to-face. So I was going to give you a tour of the website, but I might do that at the end, just because it is mainly, I mainly had it lined up to show potential STEM ambassadors the website. So I'm just going to log into a different profile so that I can show you the teacher side of things. So I'll do that at the end. Although saying that, I don't think I have much more to go. So I'll probably be doing that momentarily. But I will show you the website just so you have an idea of what it looks like and how you would go about requesting a STEM ambassador, just using the website in general. So the next step, if you're not already registered on the website, please do get registered, stem.org.uk. You can also find out lots about the STEM Ambassador Programme on our website, so the Aberdeen Science Centre website. It's a brand new website that launched a couple of weeks ago, and I've been putting my website development hat on for the last couple of months. So please do go and have a look. I've tried to make it as useful as possible. So hopefully you'll find something of use there. And then that's my email address as well. if you're in doubt about how you get started, or if you have any questions, you're not sure why you're going to request a STEM ambassador, just email me and I can answer your questions for you. And I can give you some guidance on where to get started. I also know some of the STEM ambassadors pretty well. So if you have something particular in mind, I might know someone that can help. So do just drop me an email anytime. And that is it from me. As I said, I am just going to stop sharing for a moment just to show you the website. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, please let me know or pop them in the chat.
A quick question that you might be able to answer, Debbie. Based on sort of the profiles that you've got of your current volunteers, are they heavily engineering based or more sciencey based?
I would say, because of the nature of the industries, certainly in Aberdeen, we do have probably about 50% are engineers. I would say the other majority are sciences from the unis, sort of research and that kind of stuff. So I would say we've got a fairly good spread of those two, but there is a strong engineering to everything.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, and also in terms of, so do they have to do an activity once a year?
Yeah, so that's our requirements. Basically, if they don't do an activity in that 12-month period, we archive their profile. But they can always, if they decide they want to volunteer in a couple of years down the line, we can activate their profile. It doesn't really, yeah.
Okay, so the kind of,
not too stringent.
The ones that are on the website then are pretty active, relatively speaking. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's great.
But as I said, saying that, some may only be doing one an afternoon a year. So yeah, it depends when you catch them.
Yeah, true. But it's not like they've not done anything for the last 20 years or something.
Yeah, no. We check them, and as well, we renew their PVGs every 3 years. So if there is anyone that we've missed, we do tend to catch it at that point. So they'll have been, if not active within the last year, active within the last 3 years.
I see. And are you starting to see volunteers going into places, into schools, into community groups at the moment?
No.
Just asking this because we've currently got a bunch of students coming in for their student-teacher placements. So I wonder if it's a case where you were getting hearing of some volunteers going to schools or...
No, so it is very much down to the school. Guidance at the moment, as far as we're hearing, is like,
it's essential.
Don't do it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it is dependent on the school. So if there was, if you've figured it out with your school and that's okay, then you can ask the question. I think a lot of STEM ambassadors will still very much want to maybe not go face to face and would want to do something digitally.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's fine.
Okay, I'm just gonna show you the website. Hopefully. Okay, can you see my profile there? My name is Events ASC, unofficially. But this is actually, so I'm actually signed in as a youth group leader, but it's exactly what a teacher profile looks like. So this is the website. Lots of different options here to look at resources and STEM clubs, all those things that I talked about, and the STEM ambassador side of things as well. But you've then got your options to log in and out of your profile up here. The main bit that I would direct you to look at is over at the side here, and go to activities and add activity. And that's where you get this form where you can put in all the information that you want potential STEM ambassadors to volunteer for. A couple of things to point out. You can set it to be online. If you set it to be online, a STEM ambassador anywhere in the UK can volunteer. That's really good if you have a really like niche subject. We had one person that requested someone that could talk about roller coaster design in a theme park with a strong physics background. And there wasn't someone that fit the bill in the north of Scotland, but there were a number of people in the rest of the UK that were able to fill such a specific request. If you've got something broader, you might well just want to keep it local, but it's up to you. You can put in the address and then in the description say, if you want to do it online, that's okay as well. The rest of it, going further down, fairly self-explanatory. You can link it to your school so the STEM ambassador knows where it's taking place. You can choose the age range, the number of expected participants, how many pupils or students are going to be there. You can choose a specific date. So if you have a date in mind, maybe it's for a particular event, you can pop that in there, or you can set a range of dates. Just so you're aware, the expected, the start date, which is the first date here, once that date passes, STEM ambassadors can no longer volunteer. So if you don't really have a specific date in mind, I would put your start date here fairly far in the future so that the activity is on the website a bit longer. But if you have any questions about that, please do just get in touch. You'll also notice here that you can request as many STEM ambassadors as you want. So you could put in 20 and you could get 20 STEM ambassadors volunteering, especially if you have it online and it's open to the whole of the UK. So you don't just have to choose one, you can have lots of different STEM ambassadors engaging with you. You can put in a little bit about what kind of preference of background you would like from the STEM ambassador. And then this is where you can have a bit of like free content here. You can put in whatever you fancy. I would go into like a bit of detail, maybe about what you're looking at in class, or you know, what age range or how many pupils and stuff. You can go into a bit more detail about it in here. And then at the end, you can just tick a couple of boxes to talk about what impact that activity is going to have. So that's it. Then you go to add activity. You get a summary page so that you can check all the information, and then you can publish it. Once it's published, STEM ambassadors can then volunteer. Now, let me see if I have an example of what that looks like. Probably not going to be in upcoming. Let me have a look at, oh, I'm not going to have anything. I'll look at some other activities. Here we go. So this was one that we did last year. So this is what it kind of looks like when you've put an activity on the database. So we've got the title. This is what a STEM ambassador sees, and this is what you see. So you can see where the event is, all this information. So we've put in quite a description down there. And then we have some volunteers here. So this is how you see your conversation. You can see who's volunteered, and you can offer a position to that STEM ambassador. You can confirm it, and you can have a little conversation with them down there as well. So you can just literally just click on their name, click on the down arrow, and you can see what conversation you have. So that's how activities look. You can also browse offers. So this is offers of STEM ambassadors. So if you don't have an idea of what you want to request, you can have a browse of these offers. So, you know, someone's wanting to talk about geology and earth sciences. So you can click on there. You can have a little look at what they're offering, see if that suits your needs. If it does, you can then type in a comment, maybe to say, this sounds really cool. Like, can I organize this for my school? Are you able to, you know, are you happy to deliver this in Aberdeen? Whatever it might be, and then express interest. When you express interest, the STEM ambassador will get a notification. When they message you back, you'll get an email notification. So you should be able to keep on top of it a little bit now. And that's kind of all I'll show you on that front. Hopefully that inspires you to pop onto the website and maybe take up some of those offers that are already sitting there ready to go. So yes, that's it from that point of view. What I'll do is I'll just in case people want to take down my email address, I'll just share the screen again, just so you can have that there. So please take down the email address or our website and the STEM Learning website as well. And that's it from me. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions?
Debbie, can I ask you something in regards to, I put on a post on STEM. This was obviously prior to lockdown. So obviously it's timed out now, but I got a STEM ambassador register and interest in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sent them a message. I don't know how I sent them a message, but it's on the bottom of the screen you just showed me.
Okay.
But I did say, I don't know if that's how I was supposed to respond to them, but I never heard anything back from them. Was that the right way I responded to them?
Yeah, that is absolutely the right way to respond. It's it might be that the messaging system can be slightly cumbersome, and it might be that they didn't get the notification to say they got a message. If you do ever have that again and you're not sure what's going on, please do just email me and I can look into it, because I have the STEM ambassador's email address, so I can follow up on that via email. I would also recommend, as soon as you have that conversation, one of the first things you can say to that STEM ambassador as soon as anyone volunteers is, can you please send me your email address so that we can communicate a little bit easier via email. So I'd recommend doing that first off the bat as well.
Okay. It could have just been a timing thing. I think it says that she registered interest on the 7th of April. So obviously we were in lockdown by that point.
Oh,
so
yeah, God, yeah.
But I just wasn't sure if I was actually messaging on the correct place. So
no, you did it absolutely right. I'm just going to have a wee look and see if I can figure out what might have happened. Was it what date did you put the activity on for?
What date was it? Oh no, how do I find that?
Oh, sorry. Oh, here it is. Coding.
You got it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just have a look. Okay. Yeah. I'm not sure why that STEM ambassador wouldn't have responded, but like I said, I can follow up on it. Is coding something you're wanting to?
Yeah, it's something we don't do as a school, and it's something we probably should be encouraging a bit more. We've got quite an IT focused upper stage class, one in particular, but generally the children are really quite good. But because we're a small rural school, then there's been nobody that's kind of driven IT forward or science forward. I'm happy to do the science bit, not so good at the coding bit. Not quite happily put my hands up to that.
What I would suggest doing is, with that request you've got there, you should have the option to clone the activity, and then you can maybe update it a bit, just to like say online support welcome or something like that. Okay. You can take the online option, and then I would say there'll be plenty of people, as I would say, across the UK that would be happy to help with a coding based activity. So even if that is just you getting advice from that STEM ambassador as to what to do next, that might be a good starting point.
Yeah, no, that would be good, because I wanted I'd taken some of my current class into the Aberdeen Science Centre, and we did some of the Lego Storm.
Oh, fantastic!
And they wanted to do that again, and that's how it kind of started. And then I posted this, and then sure enough, we went into lockdown. So it all but it's certainly something I want to pick back up again.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I'll keep an eye out for the request, and like I said, you can just clone what you've already got, and then I can make sure that I get it out to STEM ambassadors. Realistically, probably at this time of year, I probably wouldn't be. I won't send out another newsletter to STEM ambassadors until December, so it might not be something that would happen until the new year.
No, that would suit our timetable. I think it's all going to be a bit mad between now and December anyway. So. Even with the pared down version of Christmas this year, it's still a hard term.
I think it's always a busy one. It's my quietest usually, but I've managed to organise loads of different activities in November and December, so I think it's going to be crazy.
Thank you.
That's okay. Anything else? Shall I hand back to you, Jenny?
Yeah, if you want to.
Do you want to say anything?
Just thank you for such an interesting talk is all I was going to say. No, that was really interesting. That was good. I mean, obviously I know a bit about STEM Ambassador. It was quite interesting just to see how widespread it is. I mean, I know there's 3 areas in Scotland, but there's the multiple ones in England and elsewhere. So that was good. So yes, thank you all for attending. And remember, we are running until the 25th of November. So if you fancy,
I have another poll if you wouldn't mind. Sorry, I'll pop that in.
You do that while I keep chatting then.
Yeah.
The festival is running until the 25th of November. So if there's anything else you want to find in our programme, please log on through our website and that'd be good. But thank you all for coming. That was really interesting. And now can you do Debbie's poll, please?
Yes, thank you. And then you can leave, I promise.
In terms of linking with the STEM ambassadors and with the Young STEM Leader, is that something that they're able to facilitate? Because I'm developing from S2's, I think it's level 4 of the YSL program. Okay. I think I'm saying this, I have no idea what I'm doing with it. But I could see that would be a way that we could kind of get involved. Is that linked in with STEM ambassador stuff, or is that completely different?
So we do. We are partnered with them, and we do quite a lot with them. We're actually doing, I think next week or the week after, we're doing an information session for STEM ambassadors about the Young STEM Leader program. So we'll be basically giving STEM ambassadors an idea of how they can volunteer. So it might be that there are some very keen STEM ambassadors immediately after that session. So if you're wanting to sort of even just have a bit of a discussion with a STEM ambassador about the Young STEM Leader program, I would say get something on the website pretty soon, and there could be some very keen people coming your way. Super.
Is that an information session? When's that happening?
So the information session is some point next week.
Okay.
It is for STEM ambassadors, the information session, rather than for teachers.
Well, that's fine. Just in terms of posting stuff.
I'm going to say the 24th. I'm slightly making that up. I'm just looking at my calendar now. Let me check. Oh, the 25th.
Close.
So close, so close.
That'd be
and as well, I'd also, you might be interested, I'm doing another session on the 19th with TechFest, which is a STEM ambassador and teacher networking session. So you could actually have the chance to meet some STEM ambassadors there.
That would be quite good. Is that on TechFest?
Yeah.
Everything, yeah, grand. I'll have a look at that then.
Perfect. But yeah, just give me a shout if you've got any questions about the Young STEM Leader stuff. I'm starting to know more and more about it.
Super.
I think the teacher session is in our schools program. So if you can't find it on the website, give us a shout and we'll I'll email you the link. Okay.
Okay, thanks for that.
No problem.
Perfect. Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
Bye.